Member from the Kenora-Rainy River.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. According to Statistics Canada, there are about 1.8 million people who live in rural Ontario. The Premier has told Ontarians and rural Ontarians that they will see an additional 12% in average savings off their hydro bill from an enhanced rural rate relief program. But as it turns out, only 330,000 rural customers will see the extra savings, including non-residential customers. When will the government tell the people in Kenora-Rainy River how many of them will be getting 20% off their hydro bills and how many won't?
The Minister of Economic Development and Growth.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the changes that we made are going to provide $110 million of support and relief to rural and remote customers. And, Mr. Speaker, that information was put forward when the minister made the announcement. So it was very clear to those residents, Mr. Speaker, as to where it applies and where it doesn't. And, Mr. Speaker, I know that the ministers work very closely with communities to identify where this applies and where it doesn't. But at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, every resident in Ontario gets an 8% discount off their bill. That's where it starts. 8% off their bill, significant rebate, Mr. Speaker. We heard very much from residents, and we've responded. We know that there are challenges in rural Ontario as well, and we know, Mr. Speaker, that we've responded to that because depending on where they're at, whether they're in remote communities or not, they'll be getting up to 20% off their bill, which is good news for rural residents.
Thank you, Speaker. New regulations will force local utilities to start adding special government messaging about the rural rate relief on their hydro bills. But you can bet that those bills won't mention that most northern and rural Ontarians are not getting the full 12% savings in the rural rate relief. And they need relief. One woman in my riding recently wrote to me about the out-of-control hydro rates. She said, quote, "My husband is on disability. My goal now is to work until 70 and then drop dead," end quote, because she simply can't afford to pay her hydro bill. And too many others in Kenora-Rainy River are literally being driven out of the province because of the high hydro rates. When will the Premier tell us how many people in Kenora-Rainy River will actually get the full 12% in rural rate relief, and how many people will just get another high bill with government spin?
Mr. Speaker, as I said before, the new regulation includes an additional $110 million of support for rural and remote residents. Speaker, it's very important that we do that, and it does depend on whether they're in an urban area or a rural area.
From
Speaker, and those rules have been outlined, and, Mr. Speaker, they'll have to work through that to determine where in fact those residents live. But we've been very clear about it. Residents right across this province get about an 8% discount. We've heard, we've responded. Mr. Speaker, we're ensuring that those residents get a break on their energy bills. Mr. Speaker, I think that's what the people of this province expect, and I think they'll be very pleased to get that. It'd be nice if the NDP were positive about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.